everyone, it's Jessica and I have another stretching routine for you. Today we're going to do a lot of sitting down, so go ahead and grab a blanket or pillow so you can sit up nice and tall on it. So what you're going to do with your blanket or pillow is you're going to place it right underneath where you're going to sit. Make sure the bottom of your hip bones are on it. You want to sit up nice and tall. Take a nice deep breath in and a nice long breath out. To get started, we'll do some little bit of neck movement. So we'll start ear to ear. Just do a couple. Go nice and slow. Breathing nice and deep. You can go forward and back, looking down, looking up. Only go as far as you feel comfortable. You can just rotate side to side. Our verse for today, we'll start with some little neck circles and then I'll read the verse for today. You can go, just change whenever you want, change every time. Our verse is Proverbs 8:10-11. Choose my instruction over silver, knowledge rather than choice gold. For wisdom is more valuable than rubies, and nothing you desire shall compare with it. You just find a spot that feels good, just hang out there. Just think about how none of our desires compare to wisdom and His instruction and knowledge. That's what our hearts and focus should really be on. All right, now that our neck's a little bit loose, we're going to do a couple of stuff for our wrist and hand. So we're going to have kind of like thriller arms. So you're going to try to, it's flex. You're going to flex your hands back towards your arms, and you're going to try to do little circles with your fingers. Try to get control. It's better to do it slow and little than big and fast and not controlled. So you're trying to get your brain to think about what your little fingers are doing. Challenge yourself a little bit. You probably need to reflex because it's definitely easier. The less flexed you are, you'll kind of resort back to a more neutral position, which is normal. It's just not what we're trying to do. And you can flick water. You could try to touch your thumb to each finger. Just as we think about what our desires are, and are we really desiring God's wisdom as our top priority? Again, reflex those wrists. All right, now you just do a couple quick stuff for your wrist. We'll have our elbows bent by our sides, and you're gonna, keeping our elbow in the same spot, bring our arm in, at the same time bring our hands out. So just kind of open up our wrist. So when arms are in, the hands go out, and when the wrist goes out, the hand comes in. So you're kind of opening up those corners, those two outside parts of your wrist, to really focus on opening that up. And we'll do a quick up and down, so flex and extend, just warming up those wrists a little bit. We use them a lot, but we don't always give them attention. All right, and now we're gonna press the walls out to the side, bringing your hands back towards your body. If this is too intense, feel free to just have your hands straight out. And you're just gonna reach from side to side. Really reach, keeping both hips on the ground. And I want you to think about how God's wisdom, I've heard people talk about it, that godly wisdom is just an assurance and trust in what's gonna happen. That someone who's wise, they just have seen so much and they know what's gonna happen. And that's what God wants for us. He wants us to be so secure in Him and to know Him so well and trust Him so well that we have the wisdom, we know what's going to happen. That maybe not that we know what's going to happen, we just have assurance in the future, that we're confident in what's going to happen. We're confident in who holds our future. All right, I'm going to bring those hands down. I might need to shake it out a little bit. And we're going to do some lateral bending for our back. So you're going to place one hand down. The opposite hand's going to be up and over. As you bring it up and over, try to extend that side along with the other side. Try not to compress it. Trying to keep expanding. Taking nice deep breaths. Try to drop both shoulders. Shouldn't be too much tension. Take a nice couple deep breaths. And just think about how gracious God is to give us wisdom, that it's readily available for us, and just how valuable it is. All right, we're going to reach forward, only to reach back and rotate. Spin your torso, and then relax. Then we're going to go to the other side. So, opposite hand down, one hand up nice and long, reaching, having both shoulders relaxed. Take a nice couple deep breaths. And just remind yourself of who God is and how His character remains constant in all of our circumstances, that He holds our future, and that His wisdom is timeless. It's for every season and situation of our life. And how important it is to be godly women. All right, so we'll reach out in front, and then we'll rotate again, and try to rotate, and then relax to center. Now we're going to be reaching forward. As we're reaching forward, try to keep your spine nice and straight at first as we tip over. But once you kind of walk your hands out, nice and slow, try to find a comfortable spot. I want you to think about what your desires are currently, and just ask God for forgiveness, and just ask Him to give you some wisdom along the way. So for me, I'm going to drop my elbows down, kind of relax my head and neck, and just take a moment to think about that and talk to God. Alright, and then we're gonna just walk to one side and then relax a little bit there. Make sure both hips are still on the ground or your pillow or blanket. And slowly walk to the opposite side. Then come back to the middle and slowly roll it up. We're just going to switch legs. We're going to do the same thing so you can keep reflecting and thinking about what it would look like for you in your life to seek God's wisdom first, and that to be your number one desire. Don't worry if one side's more or less flexible than the other. It's totally normal. All right, and then walk over to one side. Then through the middle to the other side. Taking nice deep breaths and just thanking God for His grace and for His generous gift of wisdom. Alright, and back to center. So we can slowly roll up. Now we're just taking a nice little twist, sitting up nice and tall. Bring one hand on the opposite leg or just in the middle is fine. Just reach back and look back. Back to the center, and then the other side we'll look over the opposite shoulder. Just a little rotation, you don't have to push it. Alright, and then we're going to keep one leg bent and extend that opposite leg out nice and long. Your pillow blanket's probably gonna have to be adjusted, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna lay down and keep that pillow blanket underneath that bent leg. You can have your leg as close to parallel as you want. Further from parallel, the easier it should be for flexibility. And then just take a nice couple deep breaths here. You can relax your head and neck. And just really connect with God and just think about wisdom and just how it would look in your life. Another 2 deep breaths here. Alright, and then to get out of it, we're going to slowly come back up. Come back to a little bit of the seated position. And then we're just going to switch, so keep the opposite leg straight. Extend the leg that was just previously bent. You're going to rotate, reposition your pillow a little bit so it's underneath that hip. And find a nice, comfortable position. Take a nice couple deep breaths. I also want us to think about how wisdom isn't necessarily direct guidance, like, okay, take a step and step exactly here, but it's more just of a knowing than necessarily seeing exactly the steps, just a confidence in knowing of how it's going to work out in the end. And thankfully we have God where we know how things are going to work out and that everything He has is good, and that there's going to be redemption and renewal, even if things don't seem like it right now. Make sure you're taking a nice couple deep breaths. Alright, one more deep breath in. And then slowly come out of it. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this little stretching routine with me, and I hope you feel closer with God, and I can't wait to hang out with you soon.